Hi guys, J here, and welcome to another one of our videos. And today we're doing another market watch. I didn't do one last week, even though I did update prices on our store J games. So this week I'm going to kind of do two rounds. So I updated prices last week Friday, and then I updated prices again yesterday. So we're going to go two rounds of pricing market updates. So I've got a whole bunch of tabs here that I'll go over and let you guys know about changes in the markets, pricing ups and downs. And like some of the reasoning and rationale behind it. I'm going to go over the last week price changes just so I can be very clear and objective and be very transparent to let you guys know why certain prices have turned out in certain ways, because I know some people might think I'm trying to manipulate the market, and I want to make it very objectively clear. I'm not trying to manipulate the market. This is all this is all marketing at the moment. This is all optics. It's really I don't care about very specific small interactions on individual cards. I focus on the big picture, and I think that's what a lot of businesses should be doing more. Focus on the big picture of building your business as a system in the long term, as opposed to focusing on little gains that you can make by making an extra $2, $3, $10, $20 on individual cards, because it's just not worth the time. You might spend 2 hours, 30 minutes trying to manipulate certain prices so that you're getting an extra like $10 on a card or something. Let's say if you sell three of them, that's an extra $30. But it's like if you're spending if you spend 10 hours on developing some part of your business, then the growth of your business might be like 5% growth. And that's a significantly huger increase than just like increasing, like getting an extra $3 profit. So just letting you guys know that I don't worry about individual cards. That's why I'm personally not much of a speculator. But I know some of you guys, I know a lot of you guys, especially in Australia, use my site as a pricing reference. So that's what this video is more about, to sort of explain to you guys some of the ups and downs and the changes in pricing. So let's start off with last week's price changes. So these are the reasonings for why prices change for the prices from last week, right? So first of all, let's talk about commons and uncommons. First of all, in regards to commons, there are certain commons that are more desired than other uncommons, but commons are so much in surplus that you can just get them anywhere. So even if there was one particular common that was a 4 in every deck, let's say, there's so many commons out on the market that it just doesn't even matter, right? I just don't even bother charging, don't even bother changing the pricing on commons. Just kept them at 25 cents a piece. Place that as $1. Dollar doesn't get you much in Australia these days, so it's pretty straightforward. So in terms of uncommons that have changed in price, there are certain ones. So I originally, when I started off, I just put them at all base 40 cents. But a few of them have moved up. So Groundramon, I think he's the vanilla red ultimate. He's been reasonably popular in red, so bumped him up to 50 cents. We'll just go for some of these 50-cent changes. Tentamon and Palmon, basically in that same vein, because the green has been seeing a surge in popularity recently. Especially with a lot of green decks, which is one of the best budget decks, because you don't really need to spend too much on green. Very cheap deck to build, it still kind of is. It's basically maybe minus 4 or 8 cards, and the rest of the deck is pretty much all commons and uncommons. So Tentamon and Palmon, they both move up to the 50-cent club. Chimeramon and Spider Shooter Black did see a little bit of increased play as well. And Spider Shooter apparently is now their go-to option card. So Spider Shooter and Chimeramon both joined the 50-cent club. As for cards that joined the $1 club, Garurumon, especially since basically everyone's now very much convinced that Blue Turbo Omnimon is the tier 1 deck in the format. I don't know if it's S tier or tier 0, but definitely it is tier 1. It is arguably, if not undeniably, the best deck in the format, or definitely the best deck in the format at the moment. And Garurumon is the ultimate, is the champion that untaps a guy, or unsuspends a guy when he enters play, and it combos with the Mega Metal Garurumon. So he moves to the $1 club. Woodmon, so basically colors are very limited with the amount of blockers that they have in the game at the moment. Basically if you get the starter decks for red, blue, or yellow, they include the champion 6k blockers. Woodmon is not in one of those starter decks. You get it in the set, so basically every green deck is playing quad copies of it, because it's just pretty much your only blocker. So he moves up to $1 club. Titanmon and Magna Angelmon, These are, wouldn't say that dollar club, but it's a little bit higher than the 50-cent club. So yeah, so they're both played a lot. So Untitled Mon, basically quads in green deck, and Magna Angelmon played as like a 1-off or 2-off in a lot of decks, especially mid-rangey decks that sort of want to extend the game longer, especially against like more aggressive matchups. Gotsumon is the 3k blocker from black. Yeah, he's like played pretty heavily in black. I'm not sure if he's basically Titanmon level of like playability. And then we got Chimeramon. It joins the 50-cent club as well. Chimeramon is the big green tree blocker, if I recall. So yeah, so these are pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Yeah. So moving on to rares. So my mentality going into rares for a week ago is that the market seems to be stabilizing. So people who wanted to build their first and main deck, they are basically more or less getting the cards that they need for it. So people who wanted to build their decks and had the money to spend, they would have gotten all their cards together in the first like 2 weeks of release or pre-release. Yeah, and so like in a week ago, all the remaining people who were picking up cards were usually just picking up remaining cards to sort of tune their decks, or settling on what particular deck that they're going to play until official release. I think that the general consensus at this stage is that for a majority of players, not so much content creators, they've got their one deck and they've kind of more or less settled on it, and they're just going to be playing that out until like official release where cards are more widespread, and then you can like start building a second deck and so on. So the demand for cards has been slowing down, like all across the board. And my mentality is that rares I think initially were priced too high in my opinion. So yeah, we've like, I went into the mentality of going into this week, we're just going to start chopping down. We're just going to start chopping down rare prices across the board. So yeah, so most things we've just like chopped by a massive amount. We're aiming to get most rares. We're aiming to get most rares to about that $1, $2 mark, $1 to $2 range, which is a pretty reasonable pricing amount. I think we can cover our costs at that much. I think. Don't quote me on that. I need to do further analysis on that. But yeah, at the $1, $2 mark is it seems to be pretty happy and pretty fair with rares. So that's where we're aiming. So this whole bunch of price changes is just all in relation to that. And then there will be a few exceptions of cards that like go above that sort of range. So big drops. Cupimon. So yeah, it's the better in training Digimon for yellow. So yeah, so he dropped a lot. He was initially at like $5, but yeah, yellow's popularity wasn't particularly high, so that went down. Kamiya, I think we overtuned a lot of the Tamers because of how much they were being played, but like people have already gotten their Tamers at this stage. Yeah, so like we're just like dropping the prices on them proportionally a lot. They're still like $3, $4 cards. So yeah, Matt Ishida. Yeah, same thing. Infinity Cannon and Skull Greymon. I thought that these were both going to be more played. So yeah, so they've seen sort of more mid-range drops. I like Skull Greymon a bigger drop because I thought that he would see more play. I still think he's a very solid card, but yeah. Yeah, so, okay. So now I'll just go into some of the data, right? So price old is old price. Price is a new price, so that would be the price that I put up last week. Change is like the proportional change. And eBay, I did look up some of these cards on eBay to see like what the general numbers were. If there's just a number, it just that's just kind of like a general range of it seems to be like where the numbers pretty closely sort of lie. If I get two numbers like this number, that's usually sort of a low and a high range. So like for this case, Takamiya, I saw it ranging from 3.3 to 5.3 AUD. So these are all in AUD, by the way. So yeah. So other things to note, TK, yeah. So yeah, so I had him higher because I thought people would be buying him up to prepare for the Shine Greymon deck, but I think people aren't really going to plan for that until much further down the track, or until someone makes a video about it. Cerberus Montanan. Cerberus Mon is just like bad, so he gets chopped a lot. Tanamon, yeah, so another baby Pokemon, or an in-training Digimon that we cut down a fair bit more. Upamon, not so much of a big drop. It's like 21% drop. But like yeah, because originally it was like really quite popular, so we had it at that like $9 mark. But we can like bump it down to $7. Like we can drop it a fair bit, just because we're like chopping prices all across the board. So yeah, so down to $7 seems about right. Yeah, because there was still a lot of demand, and supply of this card was actually quite low, so it was difficult to get Upamon. So like when we were looking at the price of 6.5, 7.5, we kind of leaned more towards the higher range of that. Things to talk about: Terra clusters. Terra clusters. Why is this number not right? No wait. Okay, so we chopped it down. By a very minor percent. So all these like sort of like these sort of like puke green ones are kind of like very minor changes or very minor very minor changes. Yamon seems fine. Chimeramon, very minor change. Basically, we were going into this with like the mentality of like everything gets chopped by like 5 to 8% minimum. So basically Chimeramon is just general price decay, not really changing his demand very much. eBay pricing was still like $8.60 on him, so like $6.45. Just gets you a better deal with us. Gobblemon, very minor decrease. Basically pretty negligible. Like online, he was still looking at like $8.9.5. Flower Cannon, very minor change as well. This card was still very popular, especially in Rookie Rush, and a whole bunch of decks, like Green decks and Rookie Rush, play like quad copies of it. So it was sitting at $6 to 7.5, and we decided to like go into middle 6.8. Trump Sword saw more play, so there was more demand for it, and supply was getting low, so we bumped it up more towards the higher end of this $4 to $6 mark. Lilymon, this was seeing more play, so she actually increased by 10%. Because online she was like 6.5. We didn't value her super highly because her stats are a little bit low. But she's pretty good. You just like turbo through it. You turbo through it. You don't like do anything to Lilymon. You just like chuck a Lilymon on a guy, and then you like chuck a Mega on top for the inheritable ability. Puppetmon, he was seeing a lot more play. A lot more decks were playing him, and he was ubiquitously across the board. A lot of people were saying he was very good. So we saw his price ranging between 3 and 8. Then again, he is a rare, so we didn't feel particularly great sort of bumping him like super high. And it wasn't a rare that everyone was playing like multiple copies of. So there's certain decks that would play 4. But then again, like some decks are just like teching in 1 or 2 copies of it. So we decided to bump it up to 4.2. It seems like a pretty fair and reasonable price. Super rares. So this is like the bulk of the discussion here. So things to note. Purple Metal Zurumon. So we had it previously at $21. eBay, we saw it at 10 to 17. And like they were very slow moving. Apparently I'm the only one that seems to rate the Purple Metal Zurumon. But considering how we saw the demand online, we dropped it more towards the lower end of 12.5. Lilithmon. She was previously at 25.85, and we saw a lot of eBay pricings, and she was sitting around the. So in regards to like Lilithmon, if we were looking at the price, we were kind of looking at prices around that 10th to 20th December mark. So if we look at like pre 20th of December, we saw a whole bunch of like Lilithmons around that sort of. So this is eBay, like American eBay. So it's like 14.5, 55 for free, which ends up being like $18 a piece or something. And then like this one, $15, but then like they took an offer on it. So probably maybe like $13 or something. And then like there's a 20 here, a 20 here, a 13 here, a 14 here. So basically, we looked at some of the numbers. And it's like, so if a whole bunch of them ended up like around that like $14, $15 mark, then when you convert it over to AUD, it's about $20. So we put up at $20. And this the reason why I specifically go into more depth about this because we'll see later in the video. In regards to Omnimon, like eBay prices on him were about 87 to 93 at the time. So we leaned more towards the higher end of him just because he was a fast mover. So we leaned more towards the $91 on $91 end of it. Actually, no, 91's is more kind of in the middle, 87.93. So it was a pretty tight spread, about $9. Most of these, in general, most of these were just dropping in prices to match the demand a little bit better because the market has started to cool down a little bit. Like people, like I said, like people who want to get cards for the decks, they've probably gotten them by now. And this is just like for the remaining people who are looking to fine tune their decks or looking to pick up 1 or 2 bits and pieces to like make that second deck if they like have a little bit more of the budget. But it's not a need, it's just kind of like an extra, so basically we decrease the price across the board. Metal Garurumon, the blue one, yeah, very like minor change. These are all just kind of like very minor changes. Magna Angelmon, like even though it's dropped in price, or we've dropped it in price, the demand for this card has actually increased or kind of like stayed solid, just because I think Truce Champion Steve, he like top 8'd both American events with like mono yellow. So yeah, so Magna Angelmon has been going up, or like yeah, he's been holding steady despite everything else going down. Next one to talk about, Rosemon. Rosemon, we chopped it down a little bit, even though the market was saying it was at 11.30, 13.30. We were like, oh, really? It was like I wasn't seeing a lot of Rosemon. But yeah, so we like chopped it down. We still chopped it down by 7%. Just because we're chopping down prices across the board. We thought that this price might have been a little bit sticky at 11.30 to 13.30. Next card to talk about, Gallant Mon. Online, he was still holding up at 27 to 33 AUD. So we decided to keep his price of 27.33. Garudamon, we had her at 6. We had her. Like, I'm not sure if like Digimon have inherent genders, but like yeah. But Garudamon, we had it at $6. Yeah, it was selling out very quickly, and then online we saw it was sitting at 5 to 10. So we just bumped it up by like 45 cents. I don't even know why I decided to bump it up 45 cents, but like yeah, just bump it up a tiny amount. 8% increase. Yeah, it just felt like a correct little nudge. Things that really increased though were Piedmont and Kentarousmon. So like yeah, the Piedmont bandwagon, like people were jumping on that. Online you were seeing the price of a Piedmont between 34 to 46 AUD. Yeah, so like yeah, so we bumped them up from 24.35 to 29.70, 22% increase. It's still below the eBay amount, even though it's like a $5 increase per card. Kentarousmon, he also saw a lot of play. Yeah, he's like probably the best yellow mega at the moment, because it doesn't play into the whole DP loss strategy, which isn't fully supported. So he went from 9.2 to 12.2, so 33% increase. His eBay prices were 10.50 to 13.50. Yeah, 10.50 to 13.50. So yeah, we decided to like sort of lean towards the higher end at 12.2. Secret rares. So Metal Greymon Alternate Art. Yeah, Metal Greymon Alternate Art. We saw eBay was between 60 to 66, so we put at 62, somewhere in the middle. Beelzemon. eBay prices were like pretty solidly around the $60 mark, so we just put it at 60. Yeah, so like in general, everything's like dropping by a price. Metal Greymon, we saw it at 26 to 37, so we like decided to like chop it around the middle. 33. Beelzemon Ultimate Art. Yeah, we had it at 131. And yeah, we saw eBay price about 106, 113, so we decided to go towards the lower end of that and go 108. Vidramon was between 34, 40. So yeah, so we did a very minor drop in that, to sort of like match the lower end of it, because we felt that the demand for Vidramons wasn't super high, because like yeah, a lot of other people were jumping on like other blue stuff. So yeah, so even though I do list the eBay prices here, we use eBay prices to create a like sort of a window, and then we also use our sales stats, and like sort of internal data to sort of look at sort of how high or low the demand for these cards are. And if the demand for these cards are higher, then we'll lean more towards the higher window within eBay. And if the demand is low, then we'll lean more towards the lower end. Or if like demand is basically dead, then we'll just like push it a little bit below eBay prices as well. So next card is Digimon Alternate Art. Is yeah, we saw it around eBay. It was about 46.6, so we just like matched it. Alternate Arts, Metal. So like yeah. So Metal Garurumon, like the purple one, this dropped by a lot. Yeah, this dropped by a lot. We had it 55.2, which is around the same amount that all the other sort of that was Metal Garurumon and the War Greymons. So yeah, so we had them both pretty high because we thought the alternate arts of them would collectors would kind of be at that higher price, but it seems like the collectors have kind of been saturated out at this stage, and like other collectors might be waiting on full release. So seems like the eBay numbers have dropped to about 46. I probably should have said this earlier in the video that all these numbers, these are eBay sold completed prices, not eBay like for sale or offer prices. So these are completed sales. So these are amounts that people paid for these cards. Omnimon Alternate Art, yeah, it seems like it was kind of floating between this 166, 173, so we changed it to 170. Yeah, so like the hype for a lot of these cards have started dying down. So Rosemon, yeah, so yeah, all of this data is here. In terms of, yeah, so I just put asterisks next to like key things I noted. Flower Cannon, we saw on eBay that it seemed to be leaning towards that 33.5, but we weren't seeing that same demand, so we just kept our prices at the same 27.35. Diaboromon Alternate Art, we saw, yeah, like we also weren't seeing sort of the same sort of like heavy demand for this card. And when I say heavy demand, I mean like when we get one in, people were just like buying them out within the next 1 or 2 days. Yeah, they would sit around for quite a little bit longer, for like a week or half a week. So yeah, so we kept them at about the same. Lilithmon, Lilithmon, even though there was like good demand for it, so she would move even the alternate art ones. We had her at 85.75. eBay was putting her up between 93 and 100, and like we put her at 85.75 because like it's a margin we're happy with. We're happy to just take 85.75. Maybe if we put it up at 90, we probably still would have sold it. Yeah, we probably still would have sold it at $90, but we're happy at 85. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm happy at 85. So it's like I don't need to push for that extra $5, even though I probably could have got it. You know, so it's eventually every store owner has to decide for themselves at what price point are they happy to accept. We're just happy to accept that because we do things more efficiently. Our costs are lower, so we're just happy to pass on a lower price sometimes, and you know, keep everyone happier. Yeah, Piedmont, we saw it between 53 and 60. We kind of put it in the middle, 56.4. His demand was like pretty high. SR War Greymon Alternate Art. Yeah, it seems like online he was at 63, so we matched at 63. Kentarousmon, he went up. Yeah, he went up because of like all the yellow hype recently. So his prices went up to 22.29. So we decided more on the lower end. It seems like, yeah, it's like this might be an Australian thing. But yeah, like not a lot of people is jumping on the yellow bandwagon as much as like the Americans are. So yeah, so like we weren't seeing the same degree of demand. But we did hear some rumblings of people wanting Kentarousmons. So we did bump it up to that 22.2 mark. Leopardmon Alternate Art, yeah, he was moving as well. Like ever since the weekend of that the online webcam tournaments, people were just picking up Leopardmons, and so yeah, so we saw the online numbers of like 29.34. So yeah, 28 at $28 we're happy to do that. So we just like put it at $28. Promos, oh my god, promos! These are a headache and a half. Okay, so basically, this like promos 1 to 6, it comes in a pack. We're just happy to keep them out, whatever. Like, yeah. And, like, the prices of them vary so much on eBay. And, yeah, we got some dumb prices, like 13, 16, 12, 14, 11, 12.6. These are for the individual cards, right? So, collectively, this would have been a total sum of, like, $78, 80... Okay, so, like, let's say $75, right? These are, like, you get a pack. It's not like you get one individual card in a pack. You get all 6 cards in a pack, right? So, it's like you're selling a participation promo pack for, like, $75. Nah, that's a little bit crazy, man. So yeah, you know, like whatever. So like I couldn't be bothered changing these. The other pack within the other like box topper pack. Yeah, I just like chop down these numbers a little bit. Yeah, the numbers were like Zurumon 5.5 and 8. So yeah, just like kind of same. 4.5 and 7. Yeah, just 4.5 and 7. Why the hell did I put this as 8.2? Okay, yeah, I did price drop it, but maybe I probably could have dropped it slower. Who knows? Agumon was really high for some reason. 21.26. I was like, nah, just ignore this. Just go to 7.85. I was just trying to drop prices, man. Greymons, it was showing online for like 16. Nah, just drop it a very minor amount. 2% drop. 7.95. Vidramon, yeah. So basically, Vidramon, I like bumped it up a little bit because it was showing like 12, 16, and there was demand for Vidramon. So like yeah, bumped it up to like that 7.95. Taikamiya, even though it's priced high, there just wasn't that same demand for him. So like, yeah, you know, yeah. Promo Alternate Arts, I did drop Gobblemon and Agumon. I felt that these were both a little bit too high. Yeah, eBay prices showed the Agumon was sitting at about 1550, and the Gobblemon was about 2170. So yeah, I just matched those prices. Yeah, ignore this column. This doesn't. This is just like an internal thing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The Tamers. What did I do with the Tamers? I just did some arbitrary change. I'm not sure about the Tamers. The alternate art Metal Seedramon, Puppetmon, and Machinedramon. Yeah, they're just dash pack promos. So like, yeah. And they're all alternate arts of cards that you can get in the set. Metal Seedramon and Puppetmon are both rare. So like, yeah. So basically, the market was also slowing down on them. So basically, the people who wanted to bling up their decks probably got their blinged up versions already. And people who, if they want to just use these cards to play, there's plenty of rare Puppetmons in the game. Machinedramon is less popular, even though I think it's like actually a pretty solid card in certain colors. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I dropped him down to about 11.25. So yeah, that's the end of last week's prices. And how long has this been? It's been like 25 minutes. Okay, so yeah, so let's look at what I changed for this week. So in terms of comments, not too much change. We got Piedmont. He joins the $2 club. So now Piedmont, yeah, basically 4 copies of in every purple deck. Yeah, 4 copies of in every purple deck. So yeah, so he was selling out fast. So he was one of the first to join the $1 club. Now he joins the $2 club, man. Okay, in terms of rares, yeah, in terms of rares, pretty much across the board, I chopped everything by 10%. So basically, all this orange stuff, it's all been chopped. 8 to 10%. The reason why it might have been chopped by 8% is because of rounding. Because like I round it to, I get the system to round it to the nearest 5 cents. And yeah, if the nearest 5 cent is like down, then yeah, that's why it's an 8% change, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, more or less all been like 10% decrease on the rares across the board. My mental plan for rares is that besides from the high demand rares, so basically other than like these 6 or something, these like 7, these like 8, 7, yeah 7, these 8. Other than these 8, everything else I'm just gonna like chop 10% across the board every like 2-ish weeks. So like I've chopped it once now, and then in 2 weeks time, about the 14th, I'll chop it again by another 10%. And then on release, I'll probably chop it by another 10%. So basically, it's going to be a 30% chop on all these rare prices until release date. At which point, I think, yeah, there's just going to be a flood of them on the market. Everyone's going to be buying a ton of boxes. It's going to be claim rares. Basically, they all basically move down to like 70 cent to like $1.50 type things. Yeah, for most of them. There will be some that are still high demand though, and these are the ones I'll be talking about. So Upamon. He is, yeah, so we saw a huge surge in him. So yeah, so, okay, so now to talk about the table for this week. So yeah, so this is eBay low, this is eBay high. So like eBay low is the lower prices that we saw, seeing that was kind of consistent minus a couple of outliers. eBay high is about consistently what we saw on the higher end, minus a couple of outliers. And so these are US numbers. So it was just easy for me to like copy and paste the US numbers in. And then converted, which is like the eBay converted into AUD, and then converted high is the high converted. This is our new price, and then percentage change. So Upamon, we saw him sitting about like 7.81 to 11.75. So yeah, we decided like 9.15. Okay, yeah, so I guess a little bit more background in regards to prices this week. So yeah, so kind of 2 proponents to this, right? So one is that our stock levels are really low. So like our stock levels are really low across the board. A lot of things are sold out and we just can't get more stock in. We can buy stuff on the secondary market, but at this stage it's not really worth it, because like if we buy stuff on the secondary market, it might take a week to get here. And then, you know, we've got some time to sell, but by the time that rolls around, it's like maybe a week or 2 weeks from now. And then like at that point, we might as well just like wait for official release, right? So, and a lot of people are just like waiting for official release, so the demand isn't there as well. So yeah, so right now, a lot of these price changes actually doesn't really affect our store all that much. It's basically, this is all like a free service to you guys, because you guys seem to use our site as a pricing reference. That's the reason I'm going to all of this like time and effort to like get this all done. Just so yeah, you guys have a more accurate reflection of the market. So, even though I don't even know if we have Upamons to sell. I think we might not even have any. So this pricing is just a better reflection of the card for you guys to do trades and do your own sales with. So that's what this video is all about. It's all like a free pricing market pricing service for you guys. So yeah. So Flower Cannon, Flower Cannon, she went up a lot as well. So originally we had at 6.8. Converted prices was like 6.18 to 9.14. We decided to go into the middle, 8.15. Trump Sword, still doing very well. Online it's like 5.8, 9.15. We decided about in the middle, so we bumped it up to 7.6. Gobblemon, Gobblemon not so much. He decreased by 10%. It seems like the people who wanted Gobblemons have got their Gobblemons, and yeah. And like not a lot of people are jumping on the blue train, and I think the reasoning for this is that pretty much people have the belief that you only play blue because blue is the fastest deck to get Omnimon out, and Omnimon is not a cheap card to cheap card to buy. So everyone is just like, if you can't afford the Omnimon, you don't even touch a blue deck. Whereas purple, it seems much more achievable, and if you are a budget player, then you've always got green and Rookie Rush. So that's why we probably see a lot more purple players and a lot more green players, just because the price the price of the deck is lower. Whereas even though Gobblemon and the blue deck should in theory be more popular because of their strength, because price is a barrier, the demand for those blue cards isn't as high as, you know, some of those tier 1.5 decks. Yeah, so that's why Gobblemon is not as high as I thought it would be. So Puppetmon, Puppetmon, he seemed to be holding strong, so I didn't chop him down. eBay still had him at like 3.92 and 7.84. So I didn't change him. Lilymon, same thing. She was still holding up strong. On the lower end, it's like 2.61. On the higher end, it's like $7.7. So I decided to go and keep the same price, which was about in the middle anyways. Chimeramon, he was still holding kind of strong online. He had a spread between like $4.50 and $7. So yeah, $6.45. I pushed it down to a little bit more middle of those prices, so $6. Matt Ishida had a slight increase because his price is holding up a little bit better on eBay. Everything else I just couldn't be bothered checking the prices off, so I was like, all right, cool, 10% discount across the board, bang, enjoy. Super rares. Okay, so super rares. Now this is the part that I like. It's interesting to note about this in the market, right? So actually, certain card demands have actually gone up compared to the previous week. So the previous weeks, that pricing was based upon data that I picked up between the 10th and the 20th of December, whereas this time these prices tend to lean towards the data that I collected like after the 20th, so from the 20th to 30th of December. And it seemed like there was like, you see this in a lot of card games when there's a big like tournament weekend. The demand for cards will spike for the first day as people are picking up cards that they sort of dominate in that particular tournament meta, and then afterwards they will just drop dramatically because a lot of people, they're kind of like burnt out by playing a bigger tournament. They just kind of want to have a break, not really want to look at the cards, so the demand just like drops a lot. But now the demand's kind of picking up, and I think people, we finally got more news in the last week and a half that official release date for the set is going to be the 29th, or is it 26th? 29th, I think. So it's the last Friday of January. So people realize like all the people who were saying, just wait for official release in January, or wait for official release in January. It's like, that's still a month away. So if you still want to play like your local weekly tournament, let's say your local weekly skips the first week of January, you still have like second, third, and maybe fourth week of January where you still have locals. So like, it's still worth, like, some people probably don't want to go into like 3 weeks worth of locals with an incomplete deck. So yeah, so demand is kind of picking up a little bit. People are just like, what is the least amount I can spend to be happy with my deck? And then once official release, then I'll just like buy all the rest, right? So it seems like demand is kind of ticking up, and I think it's probably going to plateau around here. And then it's probably going to dip a little bit, like about a week before official release. But yeah, so that's kind of what I gathered looking at these market data, and you guys will see from some of these numbers. So Magna Angelmon, on the lower end, we were seeing like $13. On the higher end, we were seeing 18 something. So we decided to go into middle, about 15.25. yeah, we're happy with that number, and like yeah, and like the demand for yellow just isn't as high in Australia. Metal Garurumon, 6.5, 4 point. So this is purple Metal Garurumon. Yeah, so his price dropped down really low. Yeah, so we chopped it in like in the middle of that. Machine Dramon, he was still kind of holding strong, to be honest. Yeah, so like 9.2. Yeah, but like the thing is, he wasn't that popular though. Like we still got a lot, and people just aren't moving. Like people aren't selling so many. So we just leaned like super on the low end on here. It's like 9.2. Leopardmon, you were seeing some cheaper ones, but like the higher end was still like holding up pretty strong. So we went from $12 to $10.75. Gallant Mon, you were seeing like demand drop in him a little bit, like just like all across the board. Yeah, like all across the board on a lot of cards. So yeah, so we dropped him. So he was like sitting between 22, 26, so we put it to 24. Zurumon, it's weird with Zurumon. Like people have a very iffy perspective on Zurumon. But yeah, so he's between 6 and 14. So yeah, there's like a big spread on him at the moment. So like yeah, we put it somewhere in the middle, 9.2. Yeah, make a small discount on the current amount on the current price that we had. Russ Tyranno, I think he was actually appreciating the market. He was sitting at 12.40 to 15.60. So we still price dropped it a little bit just because like we're price dropping across the board. To like moving towards official release. So yeah, this is what I think is more accurately reflective of his price. Kentarousmon, yeah, demand for him kind of dropped off a little bit. So people who like wanted the Kentarousmon, they picked up the Kentarousmons, and then like yeah, then now they're just gonna sit on it. They're just gonna wait. So everyone else who wants to play yellow, they're probably just gonna like. I don't think people are wanting to play yellow as their main deck. If they do want to play yellow, they're kind of wanting to play it as a secondary deck. So if these players are slightly wealthier, they will just pick up the Kentarousmons now for like $12 or whatever. But a lot of people they want the yellow deck to be the kind of like a secondary deck or whatever. And yeah, players are just happy to wait to official release to get their second deck. And yeah, so I think Kentarousmon has sagged a little bit as those people who wanted to buy the second deck now have picked them up, and then everyone else is just going to wait for official release. Seraphimon, I haven't been following the meta too much lately. I don't think the yellow deck was playing Seraphimon, right? So I don't know why he's like 13 and like 19.5. But we decided to put him in the middle. Piedmon, like more people just keep jumping on this Pied train. Pied train, choo choo. Yeah, like yeah. So like this is just regular version, not even old art version. People are paying 22 to 35 USD. Yeah, which is it's a big wide spread. That's like what 8 plus 5. It's like a $13 spread, right? Yeah. So that's between 28 to 45 AUD. He was popular, but we didn't feel right charging like plus 40 plus. So we decided like 36.6 is about the middle of that. So yeah, so we're happy with that number. Rosemon, her numbers were doing pretty solidly. Her numbers were going up for some reason. Yeah, like people have been buying out a lot of Rosemons recently. Yeah, like I think people have been saying like it's been really good in green or something. I think it might have been because of the errata change, where previously Rosemon, when she tapped one of your opponent's guys, your opponent got to choose, but I think they updated that ruling, so now like the owner of Rosemon gets to choose what you tap down or suspend. So I think people started buying her up. So yeah, she was sitting at 7.8 and 13, so we decided to put her about the middle, like 10.9. Lilithmon, yeah, okay. So this is the main reason why I had to really be pedantic of like, people are going to think that we're manipulating the market and stuff, but like, yeah, it's really not worth the time, right? Like, I consider the hours I spend on stuff like by hours of minimum wage, and like me spending like 1 or 2 hours like doing all this stuff to manipulate the market to make like what an extra $5 or $10 per Lilithmons, and if I can get 3 or 4 Lilithmons, that's like maybe like what extra $20-$30. It's not even worth the time, man. It's not even worth the time. Yeah. So okay. So to go back to this Lilithmon thing. Yeah. Okay. So this Lilithmon thing. So if we look at prices of we looked at the prices of like between 10 and 20 for December. Now if we look at from 20 onwards, it's like look, here's a $30, here's a $24. That's Jap. This is $25. There's 115. Yeah, okay, so this came up. Yeah, this must have come up in the recent day or so. But it's like, yeah, 25. She was saying like 25, 30 USD. So yeah, so she was like sitting at yeah, like eBay. Yeah, we put that at 18.5. It's like, yeah, so 18 to 25 USD. So she just went up recently. Yeah, I think because more people are open to playing Lilithmon recently. So yeah, so even that, or like someone made a YouTube video of it, or yeah, someone made a YouTube video or about it that's like bumped up her demand. So yeah, she went up to like 1824 USD, right? And this is when I had pricing at like 20 AUD, which is like 24 to 31 AUD. So yeah, that's why she's up to 27.4 now, right? And it's like I don't even so I don't even know, right? So yeah, Wargreymon. Oh, this is the black Wargreymon. I had him at 18.25, but like demand for black has just been high. Black seems to be really like quite a popular color, even though he's not like topping a lot of tournaments. So yeah, it's like on eBay he's looking at like 20-25 USD. So we just matched. So we just like kind of chopped in the middle, 28.8. Yeah, bang. Secret rares, more or less these haven't changed. Just like price dropped them a little bit. So Metal Greymon, kind of sitting between 26 to 32. We decided in the middle. Basically these are all kind of just like middle adjustments. 52 and 71 in the middle for Metal Greymon Ultimate Arts. So I think this new Ultimate Art price is pretty good. Metal Greymon, it's pretty cheap, $28. Gotsumon, we saw these prices kind of like pretty. This is pretty widespread. So this is like a 41 to 55 US dollar spread. So that's like a $14 spread. And we were looking at the numbers. Our number is kind of just like in the middle of that. So like we just adjusted to like 58.6. Gotsumon Alternate Art. We saw it between 99 117. Yeah, ours was kind of in the middle, so we decided to just keep it. Vidramon, our number was 34, and like online it was converting to 32 and 39. So yeah, we bumped it up by like $1, $1.50, $1.80. So Vidramon Alternate Art. It seems like there was demand for it. Like people are like kind of getting into the Vidramon recently. So it was looking online at 47 to 65. So we decided to just like put it somewhere in the middle of there, which is 56.15. Alternate arts. Wargreymons and Metal Garurumons, they've just been dropping. Basically, they are losing their. So basically, all the collectors who are buying them for their. God damn, who was messaging me so many times? So all the people who are. So all the collectors who were looking to pick up these iconic mascot characters of Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon, they've probably got them by now. So we're just seeing like demand drop in like the Wargreymon, Metal Garurumon, Wargreymons. Leopardmon, people are like starting to like tune off the Leopardmon, even though I think he's still pretty a legit card. A whole bunch of these are just more or less unchanged. Because our prices just happen to be around the market price anyways. Omnimon had a slight increase, but it's like a 2% increase, right? It goes from 170 to 174, based upon this spread of eBay spread of 125 to 150. So that's a pretty big spread, depending on like how good a bargain you get. Lilithmon, slight increase by 4%. Because the market is still strong for him. People still strong for the boobs. We got Piedmont, Alternate Art. He was like sitting at 58.65 AUD online. So like we just kind of put it in the middle of that, which is 60.5. Magna Angelmon, Alternate Art. So people are jumping on board the Magna Angelmon yellow train. So the demand for this has been up higher. So we like put it to 36.15. Flower Cannon. Oh man, Flower Cannon has been appreciating. Flower cannons have been appreciating. Wasn't valued that highly early on, man. So if you bought all these alternate art flower cannons, you're doing pretty well for yourself. So online you got them between 30 and $45 AUD. So we decided to just like kind of chop towards the lower end of that. So we were like 35.25. Kentarousmon. People really want alt art Kentarousmon. So he's like 28 to 39 AUD at the moment. So we're all leaning towards the lower end of these, just because we wanted, so like, so we leaned more towards the lower end of these because we're looking at historical data. So we're looking at pricing from the 20th to 30th, but we're using these to make a judgment call on what we're going to price our cards on from the 30th to like the 10th, right? So that's why we judge kind of on the lower end, because yeah, we're using these prices to move forward, and prices just going to like slowly drop as time passes. So that's why we lean more towards the lower end of these new prices. Rosemon, yeah, she's popular online. Yeah, she's like 39 and 58 right now. So like, yeah, so so like we even on the lower end, $45. Yeah, so she's gone up. So I hope everyone's been buying up them Rosemons. Yeah, and in terms of promos, like yeah, we finally had some time, especially like after Christmas break. I had some time to look at some of these numbers and stuff. So these numbers are still high, not as high as they were previously. For the promo pack ones. So here were what I saw as the converted lows, and I decided, okay, yeah, like, all right, I'm just gonna do like half of whatever the low is. So whatever the low is, I'm just gonna do half, and we'll just call it a day, right? So it means that there have been very minor increases across the board. So a whole bunch of stuff have moved up. Piedmont has went down a little bit, but yeah, everything is still pretty much negligibly priced. Garurumon, what did I do with Garurumon? Yeah, so the rest of these, I think I just lean towards the lower end of the band. So yeah, Garurumon, I put that 9.4. Where Garurumon, like a lot of these promos are seeing like a high number amounts. So yeah, so like put him at 12. Where Garuru at 12. I forgot to round these. Okay, whatever. So Agumon, we got it at 20.89. 20.89. Why is that? Oh yeah, because he was really high priced. I don't know why he's high priced. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I just look at the market. I can't follow. I don't have the time to follow the meta on like all these games. But yeah, 20.89 seems high. So like, yeah, like we were like 20.89 is still like very much on the lower end of this band. Greymon, same thing. Like we're just aiming on the lower end. And it's not like we even have any of these. So like these prices don't even affect our sales at all. But people are trying to just keep. I keep seeing the Facebook prices, Facebook groups are selling at Grand J Games prices. So we're just like adjust these prices to be a better service to everyone. Because yeah, if our prices weren't accurate, then all of a sudden like, oh yeah, I don't use Grand J Games like pricing at all because they don't update their prices. So yeah, so we're updating our prices even though it doesn't actually like make us any money because we actually have no cards to sell. And this takes our time and energy, man. So this is a free service to you guys that refer to our like site for pricing. And the only reason why we do this is all for marketing and promotion. So this is our investment into community for you guys. Yeah. Yeah, business strats. Yeah, cool. So Vidramon and Taikamiya, these are both like really high for some reason. So I just like chopped it more onto the low end. And alternate art promos, I couldn't be bothered doing the Tamers. Like basically like whatever on the Tamers, they're all on the like cheap end. Pay somewhere between, so basically pay like $7 for the good ones, $7 to $9 for the good ones, and for the crap ones like Kari, Izzy, Joe, and Sora, just pay like $4 for them. Kind of that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But in terms of Agumon, yeah, Agumon and Gobblemon, like they were really good. Like they look really nice art. They had really nice art, but price of them just been like dropping as time passes. So the eBay, yeah, we're seeing them eBay low on like 1045 and to the highs. Yeah, so they were sitting like on the low end. Agumon was like 1045 on the higher end. He was like 20. So yeah, we just like put it on the lower end 1350. So it's like about $2 price drop. And yeah, Gobblemon, similar sort of thing, but he dropped by like $4. So a little bit more of a dramatic drop for Gobblemon. These alternate arts, I just didn't bother changing them. It's really hard to judge where these alternate arts sit. Yeah. So that has been all our pricing stuff. How long has this been? 50 minutes. Wow. Yeah. Cool. So that's two pricing. Yeah, that's two pricing changes. 25 minutes each, and it's a 50-minute discussion. So I hope, like, statistically, about 80% of you guys have already like logged off right now. So it doesn't even really matter. I say, woo, right? So if you have watched and you have enjoyed this, thanks for watching it. I'll have some other stuff going up on the channel. I've got other stuff going up on the channel. I've got some other stuff going on the channel. Just gonna put a whole bunch of stuff. If you guys have questions, just put questions in the comments. And so I can make videos to answer them. Because I have also been thinking about making some videos about, just answering topics and stuff. So yeah, if you've got some stuff that you'd like to know, just like put them on in the comment section below, and I'll give you my insider perspective. But for now, thanks for watching, guys. Grand J out.